Well, hello and welcome to this video where I will explain to you how you can complete the ZAP assessment. So all these videos have got a similar format. I will explain what you have to do, when you have to do it, why you have to do it, which is very important, and how it will be marked. So ZAPs then. ZAPs are great fun. What you have to do for this assignment is, first of all, when you got your Morling textbook, it came with a code, a ZAP code. Make sure it's ZAP code version 2. You have to register that through this website here, and then you go to that website, and then you'll find a series of ZAP topics. And each of those topics, it can either be an experiment, or it can be a demonstration, or a series of tasks that you have to solve. It depends on what the topic is. And some of those topics have got a question sheet associated with them on My Aberdeen. It's those question sheets on My Aberdeen that you will have to submit to Turnitin later on. So when you are on the ZAP website, it will ask you questions as well. You have to type things up. But that is not what we will be looking at. We don't do anything with that. It's really based on what you submit to My Aberdeen through the question sheet. So you need to select from that list 4 topics, any topics you like, just based on what you're interested in, 4 topics that you want to complete. Now, before you start doing the ZAP online, working through that program, it's worth looking at the question sheets on My Aberdeen first, because there's a question on there that you have to answer at the end of the ZAP, and knowing what the question is will obviously help you look for certain things within the ZAP. So I'll just show you what that looks like in practice, otherwise it sounds all abstract. So this is the ZAP website. So once you've registered, here's where you go, ZAP link, and you'll see a list of topics here. In green means you've already completed that. So here you can see what I've done. Now some of these, as I said, some of these have a question sheet on My Aberdeen. So to know which ones, you go to My Aberdeen. On the left hand side you'll find ZAP question sheets, and here you see the list. So it's not all topics on the ZAP website have got a question sheet, but here's where you need to look at first. So which questions do you find interesting, which ones do you want to answer, and you need to choose 4. So next question, why do I have to do it? Maybe this is not even a question that you ask yourself. Maybe you think, of course I should do this because it's fun. But just in case you're wondering, doing these ZAPs gives you a chance to explore a topic in a way that you probably wouldn't explore otherwise. Maybe even things that you didn't know existed. You just want to find out what it is about. For the first 2 years of your psychology degree, most of the things that you do are the same as everyone else. So this gives you a chance to sort of individualize your degree a little bit. It also exposes you to research methods that you may never have heard of. And the questions on the question sheet on My Aberdeen, they will challenge you. They're not standard questions with a right or a wrong answer. You actually have to think about them in more than one way, and I think that will appeal to you. That's why we've created this. When do I have to do it? Well, there's good news there. It's an open-ended thing that runs through the whole semester. You can submit it anytime you like, as long as it's before the last day of your, before the last practical. No, before midday, so you've got even longer. So if your last practical is on Monday, the 20th of November, 4 to 6, then you have until midnight on that day to submit it. The way to submit it is, once you've completed 4 question sheets. You need to copy paste them into one Word document and submit the whole thing to turn it in at once. I'll show you how to do that. There will be, so here's a Turnitin link. So you go here and you'll find a ZAP link, so you can click on there and submit, upload your whole document. Now, sometimes in class we will give you some time to work on that, so it's a good idea to always bring it, or you can store it on Dropbox or bring it on a memory stick, so you always have something that you can work on in class. But the majority of the work will have to be completed outside of class in your own time. It is a very flexible deadline, and please don't be that person who still has to do all 4 question sheets by 10 p.m. on the day of the deadline. Just use it wisely and plan. If you know there are weeks when you've got less coursework to do for other courses, maybe that's a time when you can do it. So think about that and plan ahead. So how will it be marked? Well, in total you can get 3 marks for each of the ZAP sheets, which gives you 12 marks in total. It also counts for 12% of your total grade for the course. Now, what we will be looking for in this assessment, it's not right answers. That's not what this is about. It's about showing evidence of critical thinking. And that means showing that you know that this topic can be answered from different angles. Really try and think, oh, it sounds a bit cliche, but try and think outside the box. How else could you answer this? What are all the possible factors that could influence the way I answer it? You may get it wrong, but that's not what it's about. As long as you show that you've thought about it, you've reflected on the question, you reflected on your own understanding. So just to give you an example of that, one of the questions, this was one of the ZAP questions, but obviously I've taken it out because I'm using it as an example now. Can you think of any limitations of using the Big 5 test to measuring people's personality? Maybe the Big 5 is often used, maybe you've done this one yourself, and it's quite an interesting test. So what are the limitations of using this test to measuring personality? Now, in an answer that we think contains high-level critical thinking, so an answer that would get the full 3 points, we would be looking for things like this. So a student who would be commenting on the limits of the use of language to describe other people. It's the Big 5 test, it's a language test. It contains words that describe others. But what if there are actually words, or if there are character, personality traits that we don't have a word for? What if we don't have a word for it? Does that mean this person doesn't have that trait? So think about that. Or commenting on this issue of measuring personality. Is it possible to measure with a test somebody's personality? Is it something that can be measured in terms of numbers? Do you score you score 5 or 7 on extraversion? Can you actually say that? Or would it be more valid to, if you want to get to know somebody's personality, go live with them for a month or interview them? Would that not be better? So that actually questions the whole notion of measuring personality. But also high-level critical thinking could be going into the literature and finding critique from other people. So there's more than one perspective on personality. There's the trait perspective, there's a social cognitive, humanistic, psychodynamic. Those other perspectives may actually critique the Big 5. So including those studies is also a sign of being a critical thinker. Evidence of critical thinking at a lower level would include the more common answers to this question. you know, talking about, for instance, demand characteristics. The Big Five is a questionnaire, and it's quite a transparent questionnaire. If you want to portray yourself as an extrovert person, it's quite easy to work out which questions you should answer in which way. So that's obviously a problem if you want to measure personality, because people can answer it in any way they like, really. So that's really a validity issue. Also, you could talk about the reliability of the Big Five. If you fill it out today, you may not fill it out the same way as when you would do it tomorrow, based on your current mood, maybe what's happened to you today. So that's quite a common criticism of the Big Five, which would not be too easy to think of, and that's why it would get only 2 marks and not 3. Also, there might be other examples where a student would start an argument that is, it's critical thought, but maybe they haven't reasoned it fully through. Or a student who uses mainly anecdotes, personal examples to illustrate a point. It's the start of critical thinking, but the full thing includes those other things that I mentioned on the previous slide. So, frequently asked questions. I just preempted them because I just have a feeling they're going to come up. Do I have to get all of my answer information from the ZAP content? No, you have to use it as a starting point. You have to go through it, because that's what the question is based on. But the aim is for you to learn. If you want to learn about this topic by using other sources as well, you want to read articles, you want to read textbooks, you watch TED Talks, it doesn't matter as long as you learn. Of course, you have to write in your own words. You can't copy paste from the internet. I shouldn't really need to say that, you know that, but you're submitted to Turnitin, and we can easily see where things come from. So use your own words, use your own brain. It's always the best way. Why do not all ZAP topics have a question sheet on my Aberdeen? Well, there are 2 reasons for that. One is, so I'll be giving you lectures next semester as well, and some of the topics that I'm going to talk about feature in some of the ZAPs, and I didn't want to spoil it. So you'll get some of those topics later on. Also, I had a look through all of the ZAP topics on the ZAP website, and I had a feeling that some of the topics required knowledge that you will get later on as you go through psychology. I didn't think it was quite suitable straight away. It might be frustrating if you don't know everything about it. And so I've only chosen the ones that I think will be appropriate. So that's why. Can I do more than 4? Of course, you can do all of them. Nothing stopping you from doing that. I would be delighted if you did. But you can still only submit 4 questions. You will only be marked based on 4 of them. Now, something the ZAP website will tell you, you got a grade for this particular thing. You've submitted an answer and you've got full marks for this. Those grades are not used by us at all. We won't be looking at your answers there. It's just something that the ZAP website does. I wish it didn't do it, but it does. Don't worry about that at all. It's only the question sheet that you submit to my Aberdeen that will be used in your grade. And then the last one, this makes me smile because one of those things actually happened to a student. I've done the 4 sheets, but I've lost them, or my cat peed on my laptop, or a seagull took my laptop. We are in Aberdeen. Rarer things, stranger things have happened. Can I have an extension to redo them? No, you can't. With all of this, because you've got such a long deadline, it's about organizing your time, backing up your work writing things out, printing things out, being organized about it. That's part of this assessment. It's like a skill for life, if you like. So that's your responsibility, and you will, as for all assignments, unless you're ill or something else has happened to you that you couldn't do anything about, for most other reasons you will get 1 mark deducted per day late. That's just to keep it fair for everybody. So I hope you have fun answering these ZAP questions, and I'm absolutely intrigued to read what you've come up with. Okay, so on to the next video. See you there.